been going over the four tendencies with a lot of people recently because this has been such a powerful force for influence in my life, in my business, with our team, and in our hiring process and our client practices and our sales practices and our sales processes, that it's been such a conduit for me to become so much of a more effective influencer by getting to know the people I'm talking with so much more deeply, so much more thoroughly. And I have a link here for anyone wanting to take the 4 Tendencies quiz. Take the 4 Tendencies quiz. And what the upshot of what the author has to say is that everybody has a tendency that's going to be stronger than the 3 others. And this tendency has to do with expectations, whether or not those expectations are internal or external, and whether or not that person tends to meet expectations or resist expectations. And what you get with those 2 variables and 2 states for each variable, you get 4 tendencies, 4 combinations. And the names that the author has assigned to these tendencies are upholder, rebel, questioner, and obliger. And I want to give a couple of examples of how using a framework, which seems abstract, can really be put into daily practice when you are a leader in your organization. If you are a solopreneur, or if you have a team, if you have clients, the bigger difference you make, the more people you're going to have in your circles, whether it's prospective clients, consultants, employees, employers, a board of directors. Knowing how to deliver a communication in a way that really lands with the other party and moves that party to action. If that's not influence, I don't know what is. And what I'm going to share with you is a couple of quick thoughts about how using this framework in daily life has really helped me to make a difference. So I'll give you an example. So I'm a questioner, and there is no doubt about it. I am to the core a questioner. And whenever I'm behaving in one of the other tendencies, it's usually temporary. And if it's anything longer than temporary, I'm being inauthentic about something. I'm a questioner. I resist outer expectations, and I meet inner expectations. It's why I started studying Chinese independently. I just wanted to, and so I did it, and I decided that this is what I wanted to do, and I do that independently. Whereas you flip that over and you say, let's look at what it is to be an obliger, who has the opposite. An obliger meets external expectations and resists internal expectations. Your typical obliger, who, one of the examples given by the author, a typical obliger who, let's say, wants to get fit, is never in a million years going to do what I did with Chinese. And never in a million years going to say, I'm going to get fit all by myself. No, an obliger is going to get a group and say, hey, let's all exercise together. Or I'm going to join a gym so I can be surrounded by people who are doing the same thing I'm doing, and I'm going to make a promise to somebody. An obliger loves deadlines. A questioner is going to ignore deadlines, except the ones that really make sense. So those are ways that different tendencies show up in everyday life. So I'll give you another example. If you, let's say, so I'm a questioner, and when I work with, I had about a month ago, a conversation with a prospective client who absolutely was a rebel. A rebel resists outer expectations and resists inner expectations. Rebels value freedom and authenticity. They do things on their terms, and they don't want to do it just because someone asked. In fact, they probably won't do it because someone asked. And what I got most of all, he came to me asking for bookkeeping services. A rebel is never in a million years going to buy bookkeeping services because there's like perceived intrinsic value in a bank reconciliation. A rebel doesn't care a hoot about a bank reconciliation. But if a bank reconciliation is part of a suite of internal controls to make sure that cash and inventory don't develop little feet and walk away, that can give the business owner the freedom to create policy, to go after the next big idea, to develop a new business, knowing that someone else is holding down the fort, sold. Listening for someone's tendency can be so powerful in a sales context. And tell me that any organization leader doesn't engage in sales every day, whether they're asking their team to do something or prospecting for business or prospecting for donors, soliciting for donors. There's influence is undoubtedly intertwined with sales, and understanding, picking up the cues for how, for what someone's tendency is, can help you to shape the words that you use to help paint that right opportunity, to help paint that picture. An upholder meets outer expectations and meets inner expectations. And upholders find it very frustrating when other people don't meet expectations. So, there are ways to, if you're an upholder, there are ways to notice, not be so frustrated by noticing this, labeling it, and addressing it. Obligers like deadlines, for example. And upholders like deadlines too, but they're also very internally driven. They would do something even if it didn't have a deadline. So for an upholder to get upset with an obliger for not meeting a deadline that the obliger didn't even know about, that's madness. So what is so powerful is when an upholder can really understand what tendency another party has and then act accordingly. By Friday? Okay, great. By Friday, the upholder will say. The obliger. Sure, I'll have it into you by Friday. But for the upholder to assume Friday, right? So it is a different story. So let's say you're working with a client or soliciting a donor, and if you identify, let's say you're an upholder and you identify that the other party is an obliger, you might say, it might help to close the deal while you're on the phone or during that lunch, or can you get back to me by Thursday? Whereas if you're talking with a questioner, no way are they going to go with seemingly random deadlines. I need this by Thursday because, or I need your commitment within the next 5 minutes because this is what's going to happen otherwise. And the moment the questioner perceives that something is arbitrary, they're going to resist it and make their own deadline. Or I don't need to be a part of this. Or yeah, you said Thursday, but Friday will be fine because it's really needed by Saturday. So those are some dynamics that I invite you to embrace. Let me know, take the 4 tendencies quiz. Let me know which tendency you are. Paula, if you're still on the call, I remember which tendency you are because we had this conversation already. And take the quiz, have a lot of fun, and talk with other people in your life. This is an amazing book. And I thank Whitney Bishop for sharing it with me. It has absolutely been a game changer, particularly in the area of rebels that I know. In the area of expectations, rebels are always resisting expectations. So for people to have expectations of rebels is a really tricky thing unless you really clue into the language that resonates with them.